Happy New Year and welcome to Jank Play TCG. My name's Landon and here we play Jank. And today we are talking about the 2025 rotation that is coming. It is going to affect the entire game. There's some massive things that are being removed from the standard format and making space for things to come in the future. So what do you need to know? Well, I'm going to go through as much as I can, right? But basically, no more Sword and Shield. All the Sword and Shield sets are going to rotate out. We're just going to be Scarlet Violet on. So there's no more Sword and Shield, which means there's no more Pokemon V. That's right, Pokemon V, VMAX, V-Star. No more of those. It'll just be EXs being our main two prizers, right? Or multiple prizers. Also, no more Radiant Pokemon. Radiant Greninja, Radiant Charizard, Radiant Serena are probably the most played. There are some other ones that are good, but these ones for sure are going to hurt a lot of decks. That one energy attack with Charizard can be replaced with Blood Moon or something, but replacing concealed cards and the healing from Serena, those are going to be tough. And these are the only Shroomish and Breloom cards rotating. I could only get a good picture of the Japanese Shroomish, so I apologize. But this Breloom, you would use a Spore Ball for a single energy and deal 30, and your opponent's Pokemon would be asleep. And then, for one energy, 130, but you can only use this if you use Spore Ball last turn. It was bad. Arceus V-Star is probably the first thing we should talk about. Arceus V-Star for the longest time was very powerful in the format. Powering up Pokemon V was just amazing, right? For all the years that Arceus V was in the format, you could probably find a deck for it. Most famously, there was ADP, the return of ADP actually, because this was Arceus, Decidueye, and Pikachu. If you know anything about the Sun and Moon formats, there was a card called ADP, and that didn't win Worlds only because of COVID. So I'm pretty sure if I have my history right. So Arceus did make up for that fact and did win Worlds with ADP. And then I also threw up this Lucario because I thought, sound like something fell. But I threw up this Lucario because it was a pretty good counter. Origin Form Palkia V-Star. Palkia V-Star was a predominant force in every format it was in, really. The Subspace Swell just being a very powerful two energy attack for stage 1, essentially, that wasn't too difficult to set up. People have still gotten some victories with it, some even using the Terapagos EX and Area Zero Underdepths to their advantage, but one of the biggest things that made Origin Form Palkia so good was the V-Star Power Star Portal, which would let you take 3 water energy cards from your discard pile, add them to a Pokemon, and I guess people are lighting off fireworks. And attached to the Radiant Greninja, which then can hit 2 bench Pokemon for 90 damage, which is really good, right? So Origin Form Palkia will be gone, and will be missed by some. Origin Form Dialga. This one took a while to really hit its stride, right? There wasn't a lot of good to go with this until Metang showed up from Temporal Forces with that Metal Maker ability that let you attach just a ridiculous amount of metal energy, and you needed a ridiculous amount of energy to do Star Chronos, the V-Star power, which dealt 220 damage. That was pretty good, but the best part about it is you take another turn after this one. So you got 2 turns in a row. Your opponent didn't get any turns. Absolutely fantastic. And then the Metal Blast attack was just a solid attack. We did also have Zamazenta as kind of a backup single prize revenge KO, which just made Origin Form Dialga that much better. Lunatone and Solrock. So now we're going to start getting into some weird stuff, but this was pretty good, actually. They basically make the entire deck, right? This was from Pokemon Go. You had the Lunatone as primary attacker, 3 energy Moon Kinesis, 30 plus, this attack does 30 more damage for each psychic energy attached to this Pokemon. Then you have Soul Rocks, Sun Energy. Once during your turn, you may attach a psychic energy card from your discard to one of your Lunatone, meaning if you had 4 Soul Rocks out, you could accelerate 4 energy per turn, then attach one naturally per turn, and that's 5 energy, adding up Kinesis very quickly, even using Pokestop to basically discard your psychic energy, so Soul Rocks can accelerate it. Very powerful, very fast combo. It was great for a while, and then it just stopped. Ditto was another fun one. Ditto saw some play early on, partnered with different Pokemon, but this rotation, it will mostly be the fact that Murkrow, Wattrel, and Flamigo were its best partners with the United Wings attack, right? Ditto being able to copy any basic Pokemon's attack in the discard pile, you just still need the required energy for that attack, meant it could use Wattrel Flamigo's attack with only a double colorless, or a Murkrow attack with only a darkness energy, but that would allow it to use the United Wings, which does more damage the more Pokemon with the attack United Wings were in the discard pile. Dartrix I did not put on this slide because it does not work with Ditto, but yeah, I will be glad though, because of this Ditto was kind of a pain to get. See, it came out in the Pokemon Go set, but it was only under some specific cards where you had to peel off a sticker of the card to get the Ditto underneath, and that was just such a pain. They were also extremely rare, so I was glad when Ditto got reprinted in Crown Zenith and it saw some play, but it will be gone. Raikou V and Entei V are joining Suicune V in Expanded because they will no longer be standard legal. These are 2 cards that were very good. Suicune V was also very good while it was in the standard format. It was the fleet-footed ability that all 3 of them have, which just lets you draw a card if it's in the active spot. Then for 2 energy, dealing pretty good damage, just if you got enough benched Pokemon, right? So solid attacks, solid abilities, decent Pokemon. All 3 saw great play. Raikou V and Entei V are now out of the format. The Lost Zone stuff. There was a lot of stuff with the Lost Zone coming out in Lost Origin, and this is everything I could fit on the slide to make it still readable in some fashion. But this was actually the core of the Giratina V-Star Lost Zone deck. You use Comfey as the draw engine. Culver's Experiment's also a really good draw card that still sees play even outside of Lost Zone decks, so it'll be sad to lose that. But you got Cramorant V, just Cramorant, which for 0 energy, if you got 4 cards in the Lost Zone, would do 110, which is solid early game damage. And then Sableye, if you've got 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, you'll be able to place 12 damage counters, which really blocked a lot of cards from being viable in the format. So Sableye was very good at kind of being the barrier to certain decks being in the format for a while, right? Now we do have Jirachi to counter it, just as it's rotating out, so that's pretty good. Mirage Gate was used to accelerate energy. Lost Vacuum is used still today to remove annoying tools and stadiums in play. And Giratina V-Star just being the main attacker, being able to do 280 damage is ridiculous because it's able to KO a Giratina V-Star itself, and then for 2 energy, if you have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, you just get to knock out a Pokemon. Any Pokemon, whatever's in the active, you boss up whatever you want and KO it. Done. It's so good. Hisuian Zoroark V-Star was a promising deck that never really took off, in my opinion. I believe it did well at some events, but it just didn't do that well. It didn't light the world on fire like Giratina did, but I still see it being played on the ladder, and I always love seeing it, but it's always a free win. Lugia V-Star, thank goodness this thing's gone. Holy cow, this is the most annoying thing forever. The Summoning Star, a V-Star power where you get to grab 2 colorless Pokemon, put them on your bench, being Archeops, and then having 2 Archeops out, you can search for up to 4 special energy and attach them, and it's just so annoying. So glad this is gone. Bye, Lugia, forever. Probably not forever. Regidrago V-Star. This is the current most annoying deck. Although, from my tone, you probably would have thought it was Lugia. Lugia just had so many partners, right? You could partner it with anything because of all the special energy. Regidrago V-Star, in a similar aspect, could be partnered with a lot of good stuff, but it didn't really hit its stride until recently because they were pretty light on good dragon Pokemon for a while. But Dragapult came out, and that thing's phenomenal. Kyurem, Haxorus came out. Even the Lonely Executor EX is out, and those things are so freaking good. The best thing about all this, except the Kyurem, is that you would not be likely to start with it, right? So with Regidrago, you'd be more likely to start Regidrago V to evolve into the V-Star to be ready and all that jazz, right? So Hisuian Gudra V-Star, Giratina V-Star, Dragapult, Haxorus, Alolan Executor are all stage 1 or 2s, and if you don't play the basic, you don't have to worry about starting with it. The thing is with Regidrago is that once these dragon Pokemon in the discard so it can use their attacks, right? And it uses their attacks for just 2 grass and fire. It's not like Ditto where you have to have the required energy for each attack. You just need these 3 energy, which are fairly easy to get on there with Ogerpon EX. Another reason why Regidrago didn't really hit its stride until recently. But yeah, Regidrago V-Star, that's one of the top decks that are going to disappoint people when rotation hits. Raichu V and Regieleki V Max. So these are part of the Miraidon EX deck that became popular start of Scarlet and Violet, where it's just, you got Tandem Unit with Miraidon, so you can search out electric Pokemon. You got Electric Generator, so you can accelerate a bunch. Regieleki V Max means your basic Pokemon do more damage, and Raichu V just discard any amount of lightning energy from your Pokemon. This attack does 60 for each discard energy this way. It's a very powerful attack that can really change the field and just clear up some wins for you. So it's losing 2 of its very powerful supporters, really. These were a bit more supporter, but I left them in this section to just emphasize how good they were for Miraidon. And it'll be interesting to see how good Miraidon is after these things rotate. Honchkrow and Pachirisu. This was a jank deck, right? So Honchkrow V, you could attach up to 4 Pokemon Tool, right? Reverum EX does that now. But Pachirisu for 2 energy does 30 for each Pokemon Tool attached to all of your Pokemon, meaning it can do quite a bit of damage. So if you have 4 Honchkrow V, all with 4 tools on there, that's 16 tools times 30, so times 3, 16. Why didn't I do this beforehand? It's like 58 or something like that, so that's like 580. I doubt it's actually that much. I'm probably completely wrong, but it's a lot, okay? Like, come on. Chestnut V is also disappearing. Now, this one did not see that much play, but I love it. Chestnut V with the Needle Line ability, where when it's attacked, the attacking Pokemon takes damage, depending on how many Chestnut V you have out. Mousehold EX has a similar ability, but it's on a stage 1, and it's on a colorless Pokemon, which, I mean, yeah. But it's a similar effect to Rocky Helmet, right? So you could even attach a Rocky Helmet to get 2 more damage counters if you really wanted to. But Chestnut V, I'm going to miss. Not many people will, but I'm going to. Alolan Vulpix V-Star. Completely forgot about this, but it did counter a lot of stuff. And I do remember it came out of nowhere. Someone teched into a deck, and that Snow Mirage attack just walled off particular decks. A lot of decks with abilities, even if your Pokemon is not a rule box Pokemon, which was always a shame for me. Alolan V-Star was a great counter choice, and that's going to be gone soon. Omastar V, we are losing the best way to get fossil Pokemon out in the field, which is disappointing, right? Primal Guidance, where you get to search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon that evolved from an item card that has fossil in its name, and you put them on the bench. Skipping that need to play the fossil item card, it was just really helpful. It led to a lot of Jank decks. I even partnered it with Archeops occasionally, fairly often actually. But instead of using Lugia, because I just like Omastar a little bit more than Lugia right now, because Lugia has tortured me. Serena and Braixen. So Braixen had this awesome attack, Flare Parade. 2 colorless, 60 for each Serena card that you had in your discard pile. The Serena card was actually very good as well, where you discard up to 3 cards from your hand, and then you drop until you have 5 cards. Or you can gust up a Pokemon V. Pokemon V cards have seen less and less play, meaning Serena has seen less and less play, meaning this deck has seen less and less play. But it was really powerful, and even the Delphox that evolved from this Braixen had the same attack for 1 energy, so you could get that bonus HP, but that means you'd be covering up this amazing alt art Braixen. So yeah, that is rotating, a little sad, but you know, in proper Popper, you can always play this. Support Pokemon. So these Pokemon were really good just to throw in there and support, right? So Lumineon V is going to be the biggest thing that we lose because it fits in every deck. It is a single card, basic Pokemon. When you play it down, you get to search your deck for a supporter and add to your hand. Beautiful. That is amazing. That is so good. Just you gotta be aware, don't play Nest Ball because then you'd miss out on it. But Lumineon V is such a good card. Every deck's gonna miss that. Rotom V is rotating, which a lot of Stage 2 decks use in the early game to draw cards. Hisuian Basculin was a favorite of mine for 0 energy, search for 2 basic Pokemon, put them on your bench. That was really powerful, so we're going to miss out on that. Gallade, that just lets you search for a support card every turn, but it's a stage 2, so, like, fair. And Kricketune, which increased grass Pokemon's HP. Every time I was making a grass deck, I was like, can I fit a Kricketune in here? Often that answer was yes, and it was really good. Liepard and Kirlia also were supposed to be very good support Pokemon. People were talking a lot about Zoroark GX whenever Liepard and Kirlia came up. Because of that trade ability that made Zoroark GX so good, we expected a lot from Liepard and Kirlia. Now, Kirlia sees way more play in Popper because it's actually fairly good in there, but it only sees play in Gardevoir decks in Standard, or for the most part only sees play in Gardevoir decks in Standard, because Gardevoir needs that extra draw power to set up. It is a stage 2, pretty heavy stage 2 deck, so Kirlia was a great addition. Gardevoir's losing that, so it probably won't be nearly as good, but Liepard really never lived up to the Zoroark GX expectations, but I still think it was a good card. Liepard's cool. The Legendary Bird Trio from Pokemon Go. This is interesting. I am going to miss these cards a lot. Whenever you're building a fire, water, or lightning deck, especially one based around a basic Pokemon, these had to be considerations. Articuno sees most play in Dondozo for me, and my wife, who just absolutely loves Dondozo, and sadly, Dondozo just won't be as good once Articuno leaves. So missing out on these legendary bird trios is going to be rough, but you know what? That's how rotation works. Hisuian Basculegion. We are losing this amazing Hisuian Basculegion. It evolves from the Hisuian Basculin that I thought was so good. I put it in the above slide, right? But the Basculegion, the Upstream Spirits, was just such a good attack for late game. You know, a lot of your Pokemon are knocked out. A lot of your energy is probably in the discard. Upstream Spirits could do some decent damage and recover the energy you might desperately need. So it was always a fantastic card, especially since it was a 0 energy attack. So you didn't even need to want to attach to it to use the attack, which was just phenomenal. Zamazenta V. So Zamazenta V was an interesting card. I used it occasionally. The Regal stance, when it first came out, was fairly good. Once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 5 cards. If you use this ability, your turn ends. Now, there was some argument between this and Rotom V. I went with this for certain decks that didn't mind the discard as much, but it makes me just think of Carmen and how much Carmen is better than Zamazenta as a supporter that you can use turn 1 and it doesn't end your turn. So Zamazenta really just dropped off and saw like no play. The king himself, Barrel. Barrel was amazing. Absolutely beautiful. The perfect Pokemon. Partnering up with Squovette just made it that much better. Squovette, you shuffle your hand, put it at the bottom of your deck, then draw 1 card. If that card is playable, awesome, play it. If it's not, though, Bibriel, well, either way, Bibriel will let you draw up until you have 5 cards, right? So just maximizing your chance of drawing what you need. A lot of people have been talking about what we're going to do to replace Barrel, the king, and a lot of people seem to favor Reverum. You'll see the poll that I put out. A lot of people are favoring Reverum to replace. I personally like Quaquaval a bit more. See, Reverum, you need an energy in your hand to discard it and drop till you have 6. Where Quaquaval, you just need a card in your hand and you put it at the bottom of your deck and you draw 5. Similar to like Squovette, you could partner up Squovette with Quaquaval in order to draw cards. Reverum, it's going to be harder. You're going to need like Academy at Night and put an energy on top of your deck and then Squovette, and then you would draw into that energy and then you discard that energy to draw 6. But what if you need energy, right? That's my biggest issue with Reverum. We're not playing decks with a heck of a lot of energy. So how many times are you going to get to use Reverum to draw? How often are you going to be able to sacrifice a energy just in hopes to draw a card and possibly another energy to replace that one you discarded? I think Reverum is a little bit more difficult, but we will have to wait and see, right? See what really becomes good. But I like Quaquaval. But Barrel, absolutely a king and goes out with style. Look at this art. Holy cow. The Queen being Manaphy. I think Manaphy, well, everyone thinks Manaphy is fantastic. And without it, it's going to be a very different game of Pokemon we're playing. You do have the Rabsca to fall back on, but that's a stage 1, and Relor has such low HP, and Rabsca has so little HP. It's a lot more difficult to use than Manaphy, right? Manaphy prevented damage from your opponent's attacks done to your bench Pokemon, where Rabsca also prevents effects. So Rabsca is technically better, but it's harder to play, which is the issue. But Manaphy sees play in almost every deck. I like to cut it out of my decks because most people are like trying to play around Manaphy, so they're not doing as much bench hitting. They're focused on just main target hitting. So I use that opportunity to open up space for a little bit more jank. But definitely going to be missed in the higher tiers of play. Manaphy was really good. The important Brilliant Stars trainers that are rotating. We've got Sharon's Care, which if you were playing a deck with colorless Pokemon, you would have to consider Sharon's Care. It lets you pick up a colorless Pokemon that has damage counters on it and all attached cards and put it into your hand. Absolutely phenomenal. My wife's Oinkologne deck loved that card. We've seen it be played with Lugia to pick up the V-Star so that, since it's so hard to one-hit KO, they would just reset the damage. But yeah, Sharon's Care was fantastic. Roseanne's Backup. I think a lot of people slept on this card. I've seen it see a little bit of play nowadays, but it lets you recover a Pokemon, a tool, a stadium, and an energy. Recovering tools, especially these A-Specs or these energies, especially these A-Specs, or these A-Spec stadiums or whatever. Like, Roseanne's Backup could recover so much. It was so good, especially since it was energy card and not just and not basic energy card, so you could recover special energy, which was where Roseanne's backup got its most value. And we're also losing Cynthia's Ambition, which is a good draw card. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. It's a good draw card, and we're going to miss it, especially for single prize decks that could have quite a few knockouts, up to 5, maybe even 6 if you're playing Legacy Energy or something. But yeah, Cynthia's Ambition, I think, was a good draw card, and it'll be gone, so I'll be sad. And then the stadiums are important. We got Collapse Stadium and Magma Basin. Collapse Stadium, quite a few people do play, trying to counteract those Origin Form Palkias and those Terapagos and that kind of stuff. And also using it to remove problem Pokemon from their own bench, like Luminion, just a bench sitter, 170s, low HP, boss that up, easy KO. Like, let's get rid of that. Play Collapse Stadium, get rid of those things, you know. Or if you have a very damaged Pokemon on the field, you could play Collapse Stadium and just discard it so they couldn't boss it up and knock it out. There were options with Collapse Stadium. And then Magma Basin saw a lot of play in fire decks. It's really good to, you know, accelerate fire energy from the discard. For Astral Radiance, there's quite a few more cards here. So the stadium, the one and only stadium, is Temple of Sinnoh. It does basically turn all special energy into colorless energy, which was both great and bad. It like fully countered the Reggie deck, which I don't remember. I didn't put that on this list, but I think that's rotating. I think Regigigas, that Regigigas is rotating this year. But it would just disrupt anyone kind of counting on special energies effects. You already give up, you know, a lot when you're playing special energy, because they usually only give you colorless energy, but they also give you a special effect. And Temple of Sinnoh just removes that special effect, so why are you playing this instead of something else, right? So it was a very powerful card, is what I'm getting at. And then we're losing Irida, which is going to be the biggest dagger to like Chimpao, and that kind of stuff, right? Any stage 2 water deck is going to struggle now, because Irida was one way that they just stayed absolutely consistent. Being able to search out a water Pokemon and an item card, just super powerful, right? Sorry. And then we got Silene, which was a way to recover anything from the discard, but it required coin flips. A lot of people seem to play it. I never did. I didn't like it. That's why I started playing Roseanne's backup instead. And then the item cards. Holy cow, we are losing so many good item cards from Astral Radiance. Switch cards. You can switch basic Pokemon and heal a bit. We're losing Gutsy Pickaxe, which all of my fighting decks has Gutsy Pickaxe and Academy at Night. My Okidogi deck is dead now. I don't know what to do. But yeah, we're losing it. Canceling Cologne, which a lot of decks played. You gotta hit through like those Mimikyus and whatnot, and which are preventing your EX Pokemon from really doing anything. Canceling Cologne lets you turn off their ability and hit. So it was very important to a lot of decks. Trekking Shoes was just extra consistency. It was basically playing a 56 card deck with 4 Trekking Shoes that just let you draw the next card. And even you could discard the next card and draw the card after that. So like Trekking Shoes was speed, it was efficient, it was great. Hisuian Heavy Ball is going to be hurt by it rotating, is going to hurt everyone, right? Hisuian Heavy Ball is the only way to get Pokemon out of the prize cards, which is what makes it so good. And then Dark Patch, every time we have a patch card, Dark Patch, Aqua Patch, you know, whatever. These things are just what make that type viable. Dark Patch makes dark types viable, and after Dark Patch, I don't know how viable dark Pokemon are, so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, we are losing out on Dark Patch, sadly. The important Pokemon Go trainers. Pokestop. It's really good. It's the only good card that, like, trainer card that came out of Pokemon Go. Being able to Discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If there's any item cards there, you put them into your hand. That's fantastic. And then there's Pokemon that are like, hey, if you don't play supporters, we're going to give you an even bigger benefit. And so you would throw Pokestop in there, just discard a bunch, recover a bunch with your item cards. Like, it was insane. This card is so freaking good. Lost Origin. So what we're losing from Lost Origin, it's not any particular card that was like game breaking or anything, but a lot of cards that particular decks could take advantage of and be really good. I'm sad that Toolbox is gone. It was a way to search out tools before Arvin. It was still a efficient way to search out tools compared to Arvin that only got you one. Toolbox looks at the top 7 cards. And you may reveal any number of Pokemon tool cards you find there. So it's like a great ball for tools, but you get all the tools you find, right? And, I play a lot of decks that require a lot of different tools for some reason. Seems to be one of my specialties. And I'm going to miss out on Toolbox. And then there's Arizu or Arzu, however you say her name, where you search your deck for up to 3 evolution Pokemon that don't have a rule box, reveal them, put them in your hand. As someone that plays Jank and not a lot of, big EXs, Arzu was a go-to, right? It's just fantastic card. Absolutely loved it. There's Lady that we're losing out on, which just lets you search your deck for up to 4 basic energy cards. I could have sworn there was a reprint in the Scarlet Violet era. I could not find that, though. I could not find any evidence of that on the internet. And so I think we're actually losing Lady. So there will be no more Styx references on my channel from now on. That is a joke. There will always be room for Styx, but I'm sad we're losing out on Lady. Misfortune Sisters is a decent disruption card that sees play occasionally. It's not like every deck has to play it or whatnot. Just specific decks really maximize their value out of this. If they're mill or if they're disruption at all, really. Misfortune Sisters was like a go-to. Thornton was really cool. It had a unique effect where you could replace the basic Pokemon in play with a basic Pokemon from your discard pile, which let you mix things up a little bit. It was a lot of fun, but it I just feel like it didn't do enough, right? Because it kept all the damage on it, kept like all the effects on it, but there were some interesting things. Lost City was a really powerful stadium to prevent your opponent from being able to recover their Pokemon that you knock out. So that was really good. Saw some play, but usually you could find a better stadium, but it was still something to consider. And then Lake Acuity is something I put in a lot of Jank decks just so I could take 20 less damage. That was another firework. I hope it's not too loud on the mic. And I could fit into so many decks, and I tried to fit as many decks as I could. I like that kind of stuff. I understand not a lot of people do, though. Important Silver Tempest trainer cards. This was smaller than I was expecting. I was expecting there would be a lot more trainer cards that I liked from Silver Tempest, but apparently not. The main one that we're going to be missing out on is Worker. Draw 3 cards, discard a stadium. Doesn't seem that powerful, but it is still really good. Drawing 3 cards, I mean, ain't bad, but discarding the stadium really became a good counterplay to a lot of particular decks. And like Collapse Stadium, if that was getting in your way, Worker could get you cards and get rid of it, right? I think nowadays most people just play counter stadiums, but back in the day, it was very important. Capturing Roma is a really good one. I play that in a lot of Jank stuff. Flip a coin. If heads, you get evolution. If tails, you get basic. No matter what, you're getting something. So it's better than a Pokeball, right? Pokeball, you flip a coin, and if tails, you get nothing. Capturing Roma was better than a Pokeball for the most part. I really like Capturing Roma. It doesn't require discarding or anything like that. So if you're really tight on space, Capturing Roma could open up a few slots that like Ultra Ball would be discarding stuff with, right? And then the Tools Emergency Jelly sees a bit of play. It's a very unique card where if your HP dips below a certain amount, 30 or below, to 10, not to 0, you heal 120 damage. So a lot of risk there, letting your Pokemon get so low, but there were particular Pokemon that could really take advantage of it during certain moments in the format. It was very interesting to watch people play it, and it was fantastic. I really like its effect. I hope we see it again in the future. Forest Seal Stone, we will not see again, hopefully, because I hope they never do V Pokemon again. But it gave your V Pokemon a V-Star power, regardless if it was a V-Star or not, right? It just had to be a Pokemon V. So you could attach it to a V Max or a V, a regular V, or even a V-Star if you really wanted to. But it just lets you search your deck for one card. People were playing Rotom to draw some extra cards and be extra consistent. Forest Seal Stone let them, in addition to that, search for a particular card they may need. So it was a great combo there. Probably the most popular partner it had, but it also had Pidgeot V, if I remember correctly. Special Energy. Out of all these sets that are leaving, we are removing these 4 Special Energies. Gift Energy is pretty important nowadays for extra draw. Regenerate Energy and V-Guard Energy see no play, but Double Turbo Energy is the thing, right? We are losing Double Turbo Energy, meaning we do not have a way to have a single energy power up for 2 blank costs, right? There's a lot of Pokemon out there that take advantage of having 2 energy colorless for their attack cost, because it makes them very easy to fit into a lot of different decks if you've got a way to power it up, and Double Turbo was a great way to power it up. Now it's gone, we are all questioning how they're going to try to balance double colorless this time. We've seen a lot of different ways. My favorite is Twin Energy, but I would not be surprised, and a lot of people call me crazy for this, but I would not be surprised if we do see just double colorless return. The original double colorless just return, and I think that would be a great move for Pokemon to do. It would bring a lot of excitement with it, and yeah, I think that could be coming. But hey, thank you so much for watching. This was kind of a long video. I put a lot of work into this, so I hope everyone enjoys it and whatnot. Be sure to follow me here on YouTube with a subscribe, or on Twitch with a follow. I will be starting a Nuzlocke on Twitch later today, the day that this video goes out. It will be my first Nuzlocke, my first true Nuzlocke. I did a Soul Link Nuzlocke with my brother. That was a lot of fun. But I will be playing Shining Pearl, which should be a lot of fun. I've got my Switch all set up and whatnot. That's what I was kind of testing with the other video game stuff I've done. But it will not replace my Wednesday stream. Wednesday stream after today will be PTCGL again. So I can't wait to get back to that stuff. And I will, of course, always have that focus on PTCGL, or the Pokemon trading card game, and other trading card games, but I want to expand a little bit and do a little bit more. So I hope you will join me for that over on Twitch, same time as usual. One day I'll be able to dual stream, but I gotta have an income first, right? And don't forget, Prismatic Evolution comes out January 17th. That's only in 16 days. This set will be around for a little while before rotation. We expect rotation to occur when the next set after Prismatic Evolutions releases, because Prismatic Evolutions is a special set, and the set after that will be a normal set. Now, we don't have any details on that. Well, we do have a few, but nothing really confirmed for the English-speaking side of it, so can't wait for that information to drop. But people are already doing previews of Japanese cards that we've been seeing, and those seem to be a lot of fun and interesting. Trainers Pokemon are the thing, so yeah. I'm super excited for it. I hope you'll join me for all the Prismatic Evolutions content I'll have coming out, and all the content I'll have coming out in the future. Hope you enjoy it all. And, of course, until next time, keep playing Jank.